with Hassan Reddick because you know, we weren't overtly trying to throw Ian Rapport under the bus yesterday, but because me and Rob Motti talked about yesterday here on Game Night that when somebody makes a report like Ian Rappaport did, and then somebody comes out and refutes it, you're kind of put in a position where you almost have to respond. You have to say, have a follow up report to, it's like what happened to Adam Schefter over the weekend, where Schefter is reporting that Zimmer's going to be the next Cowboys head coach, and Rex Ryan's on Sunday Countdown, be like, I'm denying that report. They just called me. And then Schefter had to recycle back around and explain that, well, yeah, the Cowboys really like Rex Ryan, but now we find out 2 days after that Zimmer became the head coach. So we'll get into what Rappaport clarified about Hassan Reddick as well here on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, I don't want to ignore the fact that, so for those who don't know, the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade was basically shut down due to the shooting that happened in Kansas City. One person is dead, 15 are injured in the shooting. So our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in Kansas City because it's just a horrible it's a horrible thing to happen, not just because it was a Super Bowl celebration. It's a horrible thing to happen no matter what. But when something like that happens in the sports world, it's definitely a little more hard to ignore in a case like this where ESPN in our studio has been playing coverage and replaying interviews from the whole thing for basically 2+ hours now. So I didn't want to ignore that happened. So, but let's get over to back to the sports on the field right now, because I wanted to start with the Phillies. This is the moment that you really wait for, because once the Super Bowl is over, all you can think about is when's pitchers and catchers, when's baseball coming back. That's how my mind always goes, right? For me, this time of year is spring training and basketball. Like, that's where my mind goes heavily. And I say that as I'm wearing here in the 97.3 ESPN studios a Flyers shirt, because I'm excited. The Flyers don't play again until tomorrow. And I'm excited about the Flyers. Usually we don't have something to be excited about the Flyers. Flyers have been good for a few years now. So, so the Phillies, they are still, though, I think, way more popular than the Flyers are in many aspects. And for a lot of us, we're looking at Philly spring training as, okay, this is going to be round 3 with this team. And I say round 3 because this is now basically the third shot this team is going to have at making a run for a championship. It was 2 seasons ago when we were pleasantly surprised that the Phillies made a run to a championship. And last year, it felt like it was, it was supposed to happen, right? They were supposed to make it back. And then they had the rough start to the year and they had to recalibrate and they finally got things going. This year, it feels different than the last 2 years, because last year you had the collapse at the end of the season. You had the lead in the NLCS coming back to Philadelphia, and all of a sudden you choke it away. You give it to Arizona. They go to the World Series where you really should have been. And then you go through this offseason and they don't really make any major moves. This is pretty much the same team that you had last year. You're running it back this year. And while I'm not a fan of that, I'm curious to see how that plays out, because we know in the past, Dave Dombrowski has made moves that have been late in the process, late in the game, right? So my question will be, there are a plethora of free agents still available out there that could be had. What if the Phillies make a move this month? What if the Phillies go out there and add one of these big names that are out there? The Cody Bellingers, the Blake Snell, someone like that in free agency. And it is pretty wild that these big names are still available, right? I mentioned Snell, Jordan Montgomery. Um, they won't add Matt Chapman because he's a third baseman. And I don't see them adding JD Martinez because between Harper and Schwarber and Castellanos, they got plenty of DHs. That's why they didn't bring back Reese Hoskins. But a guy like Whit Merrifield is out there. You have plenty of guys who are out there that could be picked up. And it'll be interesting to see, are a team like the Phillies going to be in the mix for those guys? Or do those guys land somewhere else? Or do those guys keep holding out and holding out and holding out, and they're an in-season addition for somebody? I made the contention after last season that I wanted to see this team add. I wanted to see this team grow and build on what they did. And I felt like they didn't do a lot of that this offseason. They subtracted more than they added. No Kimbrel, no Reese Hoskins. They're not going to be a part of the plans moving forward. And even though Hoskins wasn't really a part of the team last year, he was part of the team that went to the World Series. And so coming into this year, I have 3 big questions for the Phillies. Number 1, are we sure that the bullpen is good enough? And it's not that I think the bullpen is necessarily bad, but I feel like Kimbrel was, if nothing else, an important depth player. He was an important player for the depth of this team. Without him, what does this bullpen do with the closer role? Is it Alvarado? Is it Orion Kerkering? Do they get both of them to take turns? Where is Dominguez's role in all this? The Phillies bullpen has a lot of talent. But as we saw last year, sometimes that talent didn't live up to their expectations. So when you got Alvarado, Hoffman, Dominguez, Soto, Kerkering, Connor Brogdon, Matt Strom, you have these guys out there who have shown you what they can do, but is that good enough? Should the Phillies have added another bullpen arm this offseason? Let me know. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. The second question I have for the Phillies coming in this year, I am going to be interested to see what this team looks like a year older. And I don't mean that as a necessarily a negative. I mean that as a not just a pure age older, but in terms of experience older. You have young players like Bryson Stott and Alec Bohm who are just now entering a period of their life where they will be considered either in or close to their prime. What do they look like with another year under their belt? And then for the veterans, like, the Trey Turners, the Bryce Harpers, the GT Realmutos, the Kyle Schwarbers, what does another year look like for them? And then you have a guy like Nick Castellanos, who was incredibly disappointing his first year, was an all-star his second year in Philadelphia, and now he's in his third year. Is he still an all-star caliber player, or does he even out? So what do these guys do with another year in Philadelphia, another year part of this roster? And then the third question I have is center field. I really like Johan Rojas, but I can't deny that he is still a very, very young baseball player. He does not have a ton of experience. And there were times in the postseason where he looked like that he just wasn't ready for some of those moments. And I'm not 100% sure whether Brandon Marsh would have been better in some games this year or not, or what's going to happen because Brandon Marsh had knee surgery before the season. So you're going into spring training right now with Rojas and Christian Pache as your primary center fielders for spring training and with the hope that Marsh will be ready for opening day. But because of that, does Rojas potentially get the opportunity to earn staying with the big league ball club because there's less at bats and less opportunities for Marsh? Or does Christian Pache take the step forward and earn that slot? Because Brandon Marsh is going to be a part of this team. It's just a matter of, is it a platoon situation like the 93 Phillies? Or is he your main center fielder for the majority of those 162? Let's hear from a text before we hit the break. Shaner in EHT chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, the Dodgers are really stacked. Phillies have proven we can beat the Braves, but we have missed LA the last 2 years. The odds are all on the Dodgers right now. World Series winner is probably going to come out of the NL this year. I think Turner and Harper are going to be an MVP battle. Go Phils. That's from Shaner in EHT. Couple interesting points there from Shaner. He mentioned about how the Phillies did not have to deal with the Dodgers at their peak the last couple of years, and he's right. I would be interested to see adding Ohtani. Is that going to elevate the Dodgers? Or is he just going to be another bat that comes up small for them in the postseason? Look, we've never seen Ohtani in a situation like this. We've never seen him in the postseason because the Angels were so bad. So I think it's fair to ask the question. You added Ohtani, Dodgers. Now what? This is a team that has won 100 games 3 straight seasons. And each one of those 3 seasons, the Dodgers couldn't get back to the World Series. Couldn't get there. The last 2 times the Dodgers were in the World Series, they did not win 100 games in the regular season. So if the Dodgers have struggled that much with all that talent to get to the World Series, I don't know if Ohtani's going to change that much, Shaner. I mean, I'm curious to see how the season goes. I also like it's what you said about Turner Harper MVP battle. Look, if you get a Turner Harper MVP battle, you might win the division because Harper at an MVP caliber level and Trey Turner plays at MVP caliber level, you're probably winning the NL East. So I think for a lot of people's sake, I hope, Shaner, your prediction is correct there. We'll check back at the text board a little bit later this hour. Keep your messages coming in. Also, the 973 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle. Dave Weinberg joins us for a Weinberg Wednesday here on 973 ESPN. Josh Hennick hanging out with you on Hump Day Wednesday night.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers, excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Big news! Bennett Chevy is celebrating President's Day all month long. All month, we're selling new Chevys at the GM supplier employee price. Not a penny more. Plus, you keep all the rebates. Yes, that's right. At Bennett Chevy, you get both, which could save you over 10%. That's thousands more in your pocket. Ask yourself, what other dealer gives you an offer this good? Nobody. That too. Plus, there's available 1.9% financing. Hold on, there's more. Bennett is paying a mind-blowing minimum $10,000 for any old junker you can drive or tow to our lot towards any pre-owned in stock. To be clear, $10,000 is the bare minimum. Now imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. One more thing. First time at Bennett, you're in for a treat. Unlike other dealers, our non-commissioned sales team isn't paid on how much you spend. They're rewarded based on your satisfaction. Trust me, it makes a huge difference. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
It seems like everywhere you look right now, someone is sick. This year, prepare your family for airborne invaders like bacteria, pollen, and yes, germs with Navage Nasal Care. Navage flushes ultra-pure, refreshing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. Navage sucks out viruses, dust, and other airborne particles, all the stuff that gets trapped in your nose, making you miserable. Don't get caught empty-handed this winter. Get Navage, the drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Even better, Navage is HSA, FSA eligible. So Navage is a great way to spend those funds before they expire. Don't wait a minute longer. Buy Navage today and you'll breathe easier knowing you're putting your funds to good use. Navage is available online at Navage.com or Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Can I get a weight reading on the cat in exam 3?
Zuri needs a new vet tech after their current one literally moved to a farm. But finding an ideal replacement takes some training.
This is like herding cats.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Schedule virtual interviews and talk to candidates right from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
They are an elite division in charge of Jersey's most precious cargo. Okay, team, let's move. The New Jersey Lottery Scratch-Offs division presents new Precious Metals Scratch-Offs.
Jerry, this movie trailer music is giving me goosebumps.
I know, right? Bronze, silver, gold, and platinum scratch-offs with top prizes up to $1 million.
Now playing at lottery retailers near you.
Go, go, go. Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Rated PT for play today.
When you order food for work on EasyCater.com, we've got your back with 24/7 support to make sure everything goes right. Confirming with the restaurant, guiding drivers when they need delivery instructions, making sure the food arrives on time and is ordered. But if there's a problem,
thanks for calling EasyCater.
Call us anytime, day or night, and we'll answer in seconds. Because food for work has to work, and we're right here to make sure it does. 100,000 restaurants, one platform. Order 24/7 at EasyCater.com.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions.
Jackson Hewitt, yeah.
Jackson Hewitt is so sure they'll get you your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson Hewitt!
Switch to Jackson Hewitt and we'll beat what you paid last year, even if you filed online. Ain't nothing to it. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and pay less for tax prep, guaranteed. Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Rise and shine, Valentine, all month long. You be the commander-in-chief. The savings are presidential, and the rates are at an all-time low. At MatBlattMitsubishi.com. Get freedom from interest with zero down, zero interest for 60 months. Even if you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the trade man will get you released. And all with Matt Blatt Mitsubishi's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Have a job clearing $450 per week? You're virtually approved at MattBlattMitsubishi.com. Qualify online without affecting your credit. Then drive home in your new all-wheel drive Matt Blatt Mitsubishi Outlander SUV with no down payments and no interest. So bring any trade, no matter the make, mileage, or condition. Simply Matt Blatt Mitsubishi. Rate qualifications exist. Not all will qualify. 1666 per thousand financed unapproved with Tier 1 credit. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Go to MattBlattMitsubishi.com. 844-946-2315 for complete details. Plus tax, license, registration fees. Offers can't be combined. Expires 3/4/24. So come in today and get your deal your way. Located right in the heart of Glassboro for over 30 years.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Check back at the text board in just a bit, 609-403-0973. You know, it's a perfect day to have Dave Weinberg on for a Weinberg Wednesday. Dave Weinberg, Extra Point columns at 97.3 ESPN.com, because two of Dave's best favorite topics to talk about are baseball and the Phillies and football. So guess what? That's what I'm about today. Dave, how you doing?
Doing well, Josh. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So I really wanted your perspective on this, okay? Just for the audience out there who may not know the full story. So, you know, Super Bowl Sunday, the news comes down from NFL Network about Hassan Reddick being given permission to look for a trade. And then on Tuesday, Jordan Schultz comes out with a report where Hassan Reddick retweets his report, confirming what he said, that, you know, Hassan Reddick told him that he never asked for a trade and that he wants to be in Philadelphia. And I want to ask you, because, you know, as someone who is, you know, covered, been on the beat, done things, you know, it has been suggested that, you know, the first report was like the talking points from the Eagles organization. And the second point was the player getting his side of the story out there. Is that a fair summation?
Probably, yeah, Josh. I'm sure the Eagles were the first ones to to put it out there. I would think maybe they wanted to let Hassan test the waters, even though he didn't want to, and maybe they were thinking of moving on, or finding someone else, or getting him to restructure his deal. I think was probably the main incentive. And yeah, Hassan is. I mean, he's from South Jersey. He's from Haddon Heights, I think, Haddonfield, and played at Temple and got the chance to come back here and play. So, why wouldn't he want to stay? I mean, although if you're a professional athlete, you want to get the best deal possible. I mean, I know hometown discounts do happen, but the money ultimately talks. If he thought he could get a better deal somewhere else or at a contender for a contending team, you probably look into it at least.
Yeah, it's also just very frustrating because, like you said, I mean, this is a guy who wants to be here, and it's like we know the Eagles have this weird history. I mean, you covered them all those years where it was like once these guys got to a certain age, they are out of here no matter what. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't work, right? And
Right.
it almost feels like the organization is reverting back to that model at least a little bit with Hassan Reddick because there's no reason why you couldn't give this guy a contract extension unless you're saying, I don't want to pay you more than I'm already paying you.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Hassan's still a pretty productive player and still one of their best defensive linemen, if not the best. So I don't know why they wouldn't at least give him a respectable deal. I mean, don't try to lowball the guy. He's done too much for you to do that to him. I think. I guess it all just depends on what their bottom line is, whether they want to try and go below it, get him as cheap as possible, or if they're willing to negotiate a little bit and maybe give him his just due.
Do you think that, is it a situation where do you think the toothpaste can be put back in the tube? Is it like, hey, when we get the training camp, if Hassan is still here, that both sides can like progress and move on? Or do you think it'll be a difficult year for him if he comes back?
Was that kind of the way? I guess it's kind of the way it happened to Darius Slay last year, right? They said go ahead and look for another deal. Nothing happened, so he came back with his. I don't know if he had his tail between his legs, but
well, the Slay thing was also weird because it was like they once they realized they couldn't they basically chose Slay and Bradbury over CJ Garner Johnson. So it was like it was weird because it was almost like you thought they were going to bring back CJ because they were letting Slay go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, well, CJ left, so Slay going to come back, like.
Right. With Hassan, I guess you want to let bygones be bygones, but I would think it just there's some personal pride involved, and it might be hard to just forgive and forget. I mean, I guess you have to if you're in that kind of line of work. You want to put your best foot forward, let things go by the wayside, and just return to your favorite team, and everything's hunky dory. But it doesn't always work like that. I mean, there's probably some lingering. Not bitterness, but maybe a little concern that the Eagles were willing to part with you and not blink an eye over it.
Well, I mean, maybe that bitterness can, be used as ammunition. You can use that to light the fire. And listen, the best thing that could happen to Hassan is he come back to Philadelphia. Vic Fangio, a legitimate defensive coordinator, is here. He's on the following year of his contract. He goes out there, gets 20 sacks. Eagles win the Super Bowl, and he leaves in free agency. He gets a big contract. That's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, there you go. It'd be perfect scenario for him and for the Eagles, I guess.
Yeah, then he can be signed by some team that stinks, like Washington, and he gets the big contract, and then he gets the money. The Eagles get a championship, but they don't have to pay him anymore. So
there you go. Everybody wins, like you said.
That's a Disney movie. That's not real life, but still. The point is that I feel like there is a scenario where he could come back, and things still work. It's just it just feels so weird that you're sitting there on Super Bowl Sunday, and that's the story that comes out. You know what I mean? It's like somebody couldn't have been like, can we wait a week? Can we let the Chiefs and the 49ers have their game? Why are the Eagles need to leak a story on that day,
I agree. Yep. Better off to just wait a couple days, I would have thought. Yeah.
I mean, there has to be somebody somewhere in the Eagles organization who turned to whoever leaked that and be like, come on, dude, never do that again. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, or maybe they thought by leaking it on Super Bowl Sunday, we could just like it slide under the wire a little bit, like nobody would notice. But NFL doesn't work that way. Everybody notices
no,
everything.
the NFL never works that way. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, if it wasn't for the horrible shooting that happened in Kansas City, we'd all be talking about the parade tonight. Isaiah Pacheco carrying a goat around during the parade. Like, that's what we'd be talking about. But, instead we had this horrible shooting that, that the only thing that stopped the NFL was a horrific situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's certainly a travesty too. It's such a shame that such a joyous event gets marred by the acts of a few selfish, evil people. It really frustrates me from a personal standpoint. It seems like nothing is sacred anymore. You can't celebrate. You can't go out, in a major public event just to enjoy yourself anymore. You always have to have, looking over your shoulder. It's really a shame that society has come to this.
I mean, I will say that, and I don't want to get too deep into the weeds here because obviously, it's 97.3 ESPN and not a talk radio station. But
yes,
I will say that I hope that the guy who stopped it from getting worse gets credit, because there's a video out there. There was a bystander at the parade who took down one of the shooters.
Wow.
Almost basically single-handedly before the police could get there. And that guy probably saved a bunch of people's lives by doing that. And like you see the video, it's online where like he takes the guy down. There's a woman waving to the police like, we got him, he's over here, and like the random other bystanders like come over and like stand on the guy's legs and like help him hold the guy down to the police.
Wow.
Well, I hope the guy who did that gets some credit, because
he's
I
a
mean
hero, that's for sure.
that's an amazing moment that like really brings context to like the whole situation. Like, you realize this thing could have been worse if that guy didn't do something.
Yeah, he deserves a ton of credit for doing that. And you're right, he probably saved a bunch of lives with his actions.
I mean, as of right now, it's one person dead, 22 injured, 3 suspects in custody according to the report. But it's like, what if that one dead was like double that? You know what I mean? That guy could have prevented that number from being 10 instead of 1, and so
Definitely.
I mean that's my side point on that, because I saw the video and people were retweeting it, and I was like, I hope that guy gets some sort of recognition, because that's a step up moment right there.
Yeah, he definitely deserves to be commended for that. Yep.
Dave, I want to flip over to the baseball side of things, because spring training, Phillies are on the ground. The cleats, they're clacking across the sidewalk, going into the ballpark. And for you, this team did not really do anything this offseason. They subtracted more than they added. So I wanted to ask you your perspective on, is it okay for a team like the Phillies to just run it back?
I've been thinking about this. You're running it back. I guess they have the talent. I mean, like, what could you have added, really? I mean, they have a pretty solid team. I mean, they definitely could have upgraded in certain areas, I guess. But you're running it back, but you didn't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish the last 2 years, though, right? I mean, so what makes you think that you're going to be able to do it this year? I mean, other teams got better, and you stayed the same. So it's a real gamble by the Phillies to just stay pat and just hope that, like I heard your other guest commenting about, there's no guarantee that everybody's going to keep progressing here, right?
Right.
You don't know that Alec Boehm's going to step up. You don't know that anybody really is going to improve upon the year before. So I think it's a real gamble by the Phillies management not to make an effort to upgrade the team. Although I don't know what they could have done, but maybe they should have done something. Maybe another starter or something like that.
I mean, there's an opportunity where they could still do something.
Yeah, true. True.
I don't now. I mean, there are guys like Blake Snell still out there, Cody Bellinger, Whit Merrifield. So, there is always the possibility that something could still be done. But I
Right.
mean, at this point in time, I mean, are we like, if the Phillies announced tomorrow that they signed Blake Snell, they signed Whit Merrifield, like, are we getting like excited about that? Or are we just kind of looking at it like, well, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm excited if they sign Blake Snell. I mean, he won the Cy Young, right? And he's proven he's a top flight pitcher. I mean, he's your number one automatically in my view. Anyway, I mean, people might argue Zach Wheeler, I guess, but I think Blake Snell is clearly your ace. So that would be something that we get excited about. Cody Bellinger, not so much. Where do you play him? Would be my
True.
question. You have a first baseman, you have a DH. So what are you going to do?
Well, that's why I said, though, JD Martinez. JD Martinez out there. It's like, well, you let Brees Hoskins go. Why would you sign JD Martinez?
Right. Same thing. Yeah, I agree with you. You got to find playing time for all these guys, and that's not necessarily an easy thing to do.
Whit Merrifield is interesting because of the fact that he can play multiple positions. And if you're looking for someone who's like a Ben Zobrist type, right? Maybe he would have a value in a role on a team like this. I don't know if that's necessary though. Like you're not bringing Whit Merrifield in like on a big contract at age 35 years old to be Ben Zobrist.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah. You don't make a move just for the sake of making a move. Yeah.
What about Jordan Montgomery? Like, would you look at him and be like, that's the upgrade? Just over who they have right now. Like he's a guy who's still available in free agency.
Yeah, I guess possibly, but again, like you have to find spots for these guys, and I don't know if there's guys that are already here that might be able to fill those roles. Or evidently the Phillies think so, or they wouldn't be just sitting on their hands right now. So but it's an intriguing idea, but I don't know how they would work it, work everything around it.
Dave Weinberg joins us for a Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. With all that being said, one of the comments that came on the text board is Sharon EHC said he expects that Harper and Turner are going to be battling for the MVP this year. And I said,
oh, okay.
I said, if that happens, the Phillies are winning the National League East. Like, if you get Harper and Turner at MVP level simultaneously, I mean, you're probably winning like 106 games.
Yeah. That's a pretty lofty ambition there. They both are terrific ball players, but yeah, to have both of them get on fire like that at the same time for an entire season, there's no question the Eagles would be, the Phillies would be, division champs, I would think.
I mean, I can't even think of a time that like you had two Phillies players simultaneously having that. Like, Ryan Howard, like it was like Howard had his season, right? And then Jimmy had his season, and then Chase had his year before he got injured. Like, I don't remember a time where like, all three of those guys played MVP level simultaneously. You know what I mean?
No, they all had very good years together, but yeah, not to that level. No, you're right. I can't think of anybody either, to be honest with you.
I mean, maybe what was it, like 77 or 78 when Schmidt and Lazinski both had the monster years simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing off the top of my head I could think of.
You weren't even born yet, were you? 77?
No, I was not.
Oh man, you're so young.
Listen, the memory recall of ESPN Classic and Baseball Reference losing hours of my life is still there. So,
oh goodness.
No, but Lazinski had those 2 years where. What's that?
I was a freshman in college in 70. So.
No, but like there was those 2 years. I double check. Like Lazinski had like two amazing seasons simultaneously when like Mike Schmidt was winning the MVP,
Yeah.
and it was like. You go back and you're like, how didn't the Phillies go to the World Series with those guys bashing 100 plus RBI every year?
True. Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, aside from that,
well, the problem was you had the big red machine operating at full cylinder back then too.
Right, big red machine, and then also the Dodgers with
really
Steve Garvey.
Yep,
Steve Garvey's Dodgers. I think did did Sachs play for the Dodgers at that point too? I believe.
Yes, he was second base. Yep, Steve
Yeah.
Sachs. Yep.
The useless information that's in my head. It's just like it's all it's
Don,
like
Don. I guess Don Sutton was erased back then. I would think.
yeah, Don Sutton. I mean, well, now of course but this was before the Fernando Venezuela got there because he got there. What was it, 81?
Yeah.
So because we're still in the late 70s here. So trying to think who else. Oh, also the Pirates.
Oh
yeah, Willie
We Are
Stargell
Family.
and all
Yep.
them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Al Oliver. Yep. Oh yeah.
Because I was trying to think of like those, it was like 77, 78, 79. I felt like the Phillies, they kept like being in the conversation, but they couldn't get to the World Series was the story my pop-up always told me. He always told me about it. It was like, I know, just it's all right. It's fine.
Oh man.
Yeah, but
it's stab me in the heart. Your pop-up. Oh gosh.
Well, you're a grandfather. It's okay.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
I'm old enough to be your son, not your grandson. Okay.
This is true. Although you're much younger than my kids. My kids are in their 40s or 40 and 38.
I mean, me and LeBron are the same age, so I mean,
there you go. All right.
That's whatever that means at this point. I mean, LeBron's still throwing tomahawk dunks down like I was watching last night. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
I think I probably told you this story before. I knew when I was old when my kids were older than everybody on the Eagles except Jason Peters.
Oh, by the way, speaking of that, I mean, you and I haven't really talked about this. You think Kelsey's coming back or not? Like, what is your theory on this whole thing?
If you press me for it, I don't think so. I think he'll step away. I mean, honestly, why would you come back? I mean, you might think you have a chance next year, but I don't really think so. And so you're going to play 2 more years, 3 more years. I mean, he's already accomplished everything that he needs to accomplish. And you got 3 little girls there that you want to spend time with. I think he's a great fit for the broadcast booth or whatever he wants to pursue. So, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking he's going to walk away. But I know there's always that competitive spirit that you want to play as long as you can. But I don't see anything else that he needs to really do.
Yeah, see, you brought up his girls, and that's the part that keeps ringing in the back of my head because his wife Kylie was on their podcast one time. And she said, and she has not said this just once, she said this multiple times, that, for her, she wants Jason to retire before his body is so broken down he can't play with his girls.
Yeah, that's a big factor. Yeah, it is.
I just, I keep going back to, the picture that went, it didn't go viral, but it was shared a lot where, Jason's walking off the Sea Isle beach with his daughter. Hand in hand. And, there's that part of me that kind of looks at it. It's kind of like, Jason is a father, he's not just a football player, and that has to be factored in here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, not to say he's going to be, dismembered or disabled or anything, but yeah, you want to be as healthy as possible to enjoy your kids growing up and, playing with them and doing stuff with them. Absolutely.
For example, there are people who have criticized LeBron because, the reason why LeBron has done some of the decisions he has made is because he wants to be as present for his sons as they go through high school and college as possible. And, it's because, the thing is that the reason why LeBron would stay in LA is because his second son, Bryce, is going to be a senior next year. And like, he doesn't want to uproot the family, wants to be around for his kids because LeBron never had a father when he was a kid. So it's like, and it's like, it's that juggling act where it's like, these are like elite of the elite athletes, but they're also still human beings. And it's like, how do you tell someone, don't be a human being so I can watch you be great? Like it's like this, like, you can't do that.
Right. I mean, I can't speak for them obviously, but I know there's like that competitive instinct that's made them great. That doesn't go away. So in your heart of hearts, you want to keep playing for absolutely as long as you can, milk everything you can out of your body and your heart and your mind. But there comes a point where it's better to leave too early or leave right and then to stay too late, because then you really regret stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And And like you said with Jason, what else does he have to accomplish at this
Right, they
point?
won a Super Bowl, right? I mean, they can probably, you want to win another one. I understand, great, but I mean, his legacy is already cemented, and he's going to Canton, and
Right.
he's won the Lombardi Trophy. So what else is there?
But like we said, we don't know what fire might be still burning inside of him. He may be watching Travis go on this run to another championship, and it might inspire him that this week he gets back in the gym, and his wife turns like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I got the itch. I gotta do one more year."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love the comment. Boy, I let you go. I love the comment that Jason and Travis said on the podcast today, where Jason explained. He says, in order for people like us to be successful as we are, he said, we have to be like insane, basically borderline insane. We have to be different.
Right.
They talk about how
separates you. Yep.
Because Jason was kind of laying into Travis for this, didn't hear the podcast about how like Travis bumped into Andy Reid on the sideline, was yelling at Andy, and Travis admitted like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I was wrong. But Jason said, look, what makes us great and what makes us not so great is our passion. He said, if we didn't have this borderline insane passion for the game, we wouldn't be successful.
True. Although what he did was pretty classless, but yes, I get your point though.
I did love when Travis explained that later when Andy confronted him when the cameras were not as like zeroed in the situation, that Andy came to him and calmly said, Travis, you gotta get yourself together because there's a lot of cameras on you because of where we are this game, who your girlfriend is. Like, you gotta, they basically told him without, and I'm cleaning it up obviously a little bit. Basically told him like, you gotta have a little more self-awareness, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yep.
And then Jason made a joke basically saying that he was kind of hoping Andy would have, cold clocked him in that moment. And, Jason said he was hoping for that when it happened. That kind of like,
he's not the only one.
I mean, the whole internet would have loved that. The whole internet was like losing their minds when that happened. So,
oh yeah, yep, that's true.
I eat Dave Weinberg. Dave Weinberg 19 on the Twitter X platform. Speaking of social media, Extra Point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. He joins me each week here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, appreciate the conversation today.
Oh, my pleasure as always, Josh. Thanks for having me. I'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Josh Hennick here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how we'll check out the text board one more time before we wrap up the end. Don't forget Sixers basketball tonight versus the Miami Heat, the final game before the All-Star break. And here, right here on your home for Sixers, Eagles, and Flyers, 97.3 ESPN.
It's Sixers Heat tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Left side, Buddy Hield on the drive, into the lane, left-hand layup, up and good. Buddy Hield scores a layup with 23 seconds to go.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball.
Are you kidding me? He rocks the rim with a right-hand jam.
97.3 ESPN.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every basket, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a game-winning goal in the final seconds of overtime or a shot on goal in the first period. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only, must be present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over. And if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard to reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
At Target, our aisles tell stories of everyday Black joy. The same joy that can be found in our new Black History Month collection. Like feeling empowered with the teas and mugs from legendary Roots. Or seeing the beauty of Black culture through the art of Winnie Weston. Bring more Black joy to your day with an affordable collection that embraces it. Available now at Target.com/Black Beyond Measure.
I'm what you might call very good at hide and seek. This one time, My parents had to round up the whole neighborhood to track me down. It was a mess. A lot of tears. Well, now that we got Xfinity, we have Wi-Fi all over the house, including all my favorite super secret hiding spots. So I can kill time in here by streaming my shows and...
Ha! Found you.
The heck? How?
You left Find My tablet on.
This generation, ruining the game with their performance enhancers.
That's wall-to-wall Wi-Fi on the Xfinity 10G network. Now through March 4th, get started with 200 megabit internet for $25 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, eligible Xfinity Rewards members can get a free indoor camera. Learn more at xfinity.com/free camera. Switch today. Requires paperless plan and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Free camera while supplies last. Xfinity 10G network brings improved speed, security, reliability, and latency. Xfinity 10 gigabit service tier subject to permitting and construction requirements.
Imagine it's the last ride, but your symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, are taking you for a ride. What should you do? Keep managing your constipation with belly pain the same old way? Or try getting ahead of your symptoms by talking to your doctor about treating it with Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
And now, a poem for all you lovebirds out there. Getting down on getting down. Some cars are red, others are blue. Trade in your old car and drive something new.
Fall in love with savings at Matt Blatt Nissan. How about 1.9% financing for 60 months on every new 23 Rogue in stock?
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
With over 200 new cars in stock and incoming. Come see why Matt Blatt is your premier Nissan dealer. This month only, lease a brand new Sentra for $259 a month with only $19.99 down. And with Matt Blatt Nissan's 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you simply can't make a mistake. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. $27.78 per thousand financed on in-stock 2023 Rogues. Not all will qualify. Not valid on previous purchase. Go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details or call 844-917-4758. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes. VIN RY263938. Sentra sale price $21,520. Expires $229.24. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Harbor Township.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended silver unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid.
Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Online only. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Sage Jewelers invites you to come see their new selection of lab-grown diamonds and fashion jewelry at their Sweetheart Sale. Prices are 20 to 40% off.
The most exquisite diamond engagement rings, top designer jewelry, watches like Tissot, Seiko, Citizens, and more. Everything at Sage Jewelers is up to 20 to 40% off. Take a look at the last chance case for deals up to 70% off.
Do you have jewelry you need repaired? They do all their work on site, performed by jewelers with over 40 years of experience.
Sage Jewelers, the real jeweler, on Tilton Road in Northfield.
Liberty Mutual presents How to Be the Life of the Party.
Okay, first turn the music off. Then ask for everyone's attention. Now, tell them that you customized your home insurance with Liberty Mutual and saved hundreds. Boom! Now everyone knows you're not just a pretty face. You have some brains inside that face that know how to save hundreds on home insurance. Woo!
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com. Based on recent survey of new customers who switched and saved. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty. 97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get $50 in gift cards good for use at Crossroads Bar and Grill in Egg Harbor City for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All right, before we get out of here, check on your messages and touch on a couple topics before we get out of here. Game Night, 97.3 ESPN. Sixers basketball tonight, 7 o'clock. Final game before the All-Star break. Sixers versus the Miami Heat. I did want to comment on two items before we get out of here. You know, the Steve Wilkes being fired by the 49ers today, it obviously got buried under the news cycle for a variety of reasons, but I'm just trying to process why on earth Kyle Shanahan thought that firing that guy was an answer to anything. You know, they didn't lose the game because of Steve Wilkes. If that's the case, why didn't you fire Robert Saleh a few years ago after you lost the first time you were in the Super Bowl with the 49ers? I understand that it's supposed to be a results-based business, but, you know, for a half of that game, Steve Wilkes did a really good job. Well, so did Robert Saleh for half of a game. Robert Saleh gets to be a head coach, and Steve Wilkes gets fired. It really feels like there must have been something else that led to that firing. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that this guy is at fault. Okay? I refuse to believe that Steve Wilkes deserved to be fired unless there was some major disagreement behind the scenes between Shanahan and Wilkes that opened that door. But as of right now, you know, it optically looks like Shanahan is just trying to blame somebody else for their loss. You know, it was get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. Now you're getting rid of the defensive coordinator. You know, at some point he's going to run on people to get rid of because he's not going to be there anymore. It's starting to look, and I know it's not the same, okay? But hear me out for a sec. It's starting to feel that Kyle Shanahan is going to potentially be the next Andy Reid. Because Andy Reid got the 5 NFC championship games, won Super Bowl, couldn't win anything, couldn't finish the job in Philadelphia. And I feel like we're starting to see that with Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers now, that he is going to get to a point where the 49ers are probably going to have to move on. You know, when Andy Reid left Philadelphia, he was 54 years old. When he got to his first Super Bowl, he was 46. Kyle Shanahan has already been to more Super Bowls than Andy Reid did at this age. So, but their professional trajectories feel, at least as a head coach, a little similar. And I just have to wonder, is Shanahan going to be doomed to have to go to another franchise to get that coveted ring? Because as of right now, it feels like that he is just running into the unstoppable force, the Kansas City Chiefs. And unless the 49ers are telling him, look, we can't fully blame you for these losses, I don't see how fired Steve Wilkes answers anything. Who are they going to hire? Rex Ryan? Josh and Nick, you're on Game Night on 97.3 ES. Don't get Sixers basketball coming next. Flyers back in action tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, upcoming weekend is NBA All-Star Weekend. We got all the action for you right here on your home for the NBA, the Sixers, the Flyers, the Eagles, the NFL, the NCAA tournament right here only on 97.3 ESPN South Jersey. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody. I'll catch you tomorrow.
And now, a poem for all you lovebirds out there. Getting down on getting down. Some cars are red, others are blue. Trade in your old car and drive something new.
Fall in love with saving at Matt Blatt Nissan. How about 1.9% financing for 60 months on every new 23 Rogue in stock?
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
With over 200 new cars in stock and incoming. Come see why Matt Blatt is your premier Nissan dealer. This month only, lease a brand new Sentra for $259 a month with only $19.99 down. And with Matt Blatt Nissan's 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you simply can't make a mistake. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. $27.78 per thousand financed on in-stock 2023 Rogues. Not all will qualify. Not valid on previous purchase. Go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details or call 844-917-4758. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing.